Right, let me show you how I've created my own SEO AI semantic keyword generator. So up until this point, to write my blogs, to figure out what keywords I should use in them to make them rank well, I've been using Surfer SEO, and it's fantastic. It's really good. It has a whole lot of features, but I use one feature. I use Ahrefs for everything else, and I use Surfer SEO for one feature, and that is the content editor. So with a content editor, you can create new content by saying, pass it a key phrase or a key term or a search term that you would have already found somewhere else. So let's say, what does a software engineer do? And then this, if you were to create it for one credit, would run that term through Google, scan all of the top search results from Google, find out all of the related terms and the repeated terms, and then put it into a content editor for you. So let me show you an example of how that would look. Let's choose this one, sprint review versus sprint retrospective. So like I say, you would pass this in as the key search term. It will then go off to Google and load all of the top search results. So it'll take, I think it's the top 10 search results it takes. It then scans through each of those web pages and finds all of the semantically related keywords, their density, and then it produces something like this. So it tells you down here roughly how many times each of those keywords are used within the articles, or how many times you should use them within your article to make them an average of the top 10. So how many times should you include all of these terms within your article for sprint review versus retrospective to try and get it in the top 10 of the search results? Now, there's a whole bunch of other stuff that will do that. Like, you can't just do this. You need domain authority, backlinks, all of that other stuff, but we won't go into that here. So this is fantastic. But like I say, it does a whole bunch of stuff that I just don't care about. I use Ahrefs for everything else, and I use this just to write articles. So I thought, I'm a software engineer. I want to learn a bit of AI. Let's do this. Let's recreate it. And hey presto, I have recreated it. So the same thing here, sprint review versus retrospective. And as you can see down the side here, these are all of the keywords, the semantically related keywords, roughly how many times you should use them, and like a highlighter of if you've used them enough. So I'll come back to this in a second and I'll just show you how I've done it. So don't judge the code. This is very much an MVP. I am going to refactor, I am going to test, and I'm not going to have a function that's this long. But here we go. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to pass in a search term. So here are a bunch of search terms that I've already done. Sprint review versus retrospective. I'm then going to go off to Google to find the search results page. So I'm going to actually return all of the HTML for this entire page here. I'm going to get rid of everything I don't care about. So I only want the organic search results. I don't want anything else. So this gives me the HTML of just the organic search results. I then take the URLs from each of those search results. So I'll take that URL, I'll take that URL, I'll take that URL. I'll go off and fetch the page content for each of those URLs. So I'm going off to get the actual contents of that page. I'm then going to loop over all of the URLs and do a bit of tidying up. So cleaning up the page content, removing what we don't need. Like, I don't need to be parsing the script tags. I don't need to be parsing the style tags. There's a whole bunch of stuff I just don't care about. I just want the content because I only want keywords, right? So remove all of the HTML tags, remove any XX spaces, make this nice content to be able to parse. Now, using Spacey and TensorFlow, I will use the search term as the key phrase, and then the content to return me semantically related phrases. Now, I'll do another video going into how this actually works, because that's quite complicated, and probably I'll only do it if people care. So comment below and tell me if you want me to do a video on that, but it's pretty cool. And then I chuck all of those into just a data class that's a bit easier to handle. So once I've got all of the semantic keywords for each of the individual articles, I'm going to flatten the results. So let's say I've got 10 web pages. Each of those web pages is represented here as having its own semantic keywords. Let's flatten that down to one set of keywords and the total amount of times that those phrases are used within all of the websites. Once I've done that, we're going to pass off to a different function. So I've got a function here. No, we don't. So the first thing we do after sanitizing those results is figure out how many times each search term is used within each of the pages. So for sprint retrospective versus sprint review, you would imagine sprint retrospective, the term, would be used on all of the pages. But there may be some phrases that are used 10 times, but only in one of the 10 results. So I want to map out how many times each phrase is used within each of the web pages to give a bit of a better estimate of if it's a appropriate, like if it's an important semantically related phrase. So take all of that detail, how many times the phrase is used, across how many pages is the phrase used, how semantically close is the phrase to the key search term, and pass it into this function that I've written here. Again, won't go into that at the moment, but if people are interested in knowing how I've done this, let me know and I can do a video on that. And this is going to return me, based on all of the input data, for each search term or each related term, how many times roughly should you include it within your article for it to be worthwhile. So take all of those suggested frequencies, all of the suggested amount of times each search term or each semantically related term is used, and then we're just going to dump it into an HTML file. So I've created a template, done some CSS, done some JavaScript, all that jazz, and then we get what you see here. So I've done a bit of comparison between the terms that I'm using and the terms that are being returned by Surfer SEO, and so far so good, like pretty good. I've spent like 3 days developing this, so it's not been a huge amount of time to actually refine the process. But so far, like, it's looking pretty good, pretty useful. I haven't included a content score. So if you look over here, you can actually see they give you a score based on if you're within the average words, the average headings, if you're hitting enough of the key terms. I haven't done that because I'm not too sure how to do that effectively yet, but I will work on that soon. The other thing I'm going to introduce in here is actually showing the search results, the SERPs page. So take the meta descriptions, the titles from each of these, and then show them in this report as well. Because when you're writing your meta tags, your description, your title, and your, everything else involved in that, you kind of want to be mimicking what is already in the top search results as well. Because the whole point behind Surfer is it's not just giving you related keywords, it's giving you related keywords that are already in the top 10 of Google. So they are obviously what Google deems to be closely semantically related terms. So yeah, there we go. There's a whole bunch more I'm going to do to this. I'm going to make it look a bit prettier. I'm going to add in the SERPs, as I just mentioned. I'm actually going to probably add in some calls to ChatGPT as well. So the AI that I'm using here is all through TensorFlow and local models, but obviously I can't run huge AI models on my laptop, so I may do some BAS calls over to ChatGPT to return me some extra semantic results, so anything that I may be missing that it thinks is worthwhile to include. But yeah, so I'll get this tidied up. I'll probably chuck it on my website for people to use, see if people are interested. If you are interested in using this and you think it's worthwhile for you, let me know. I'll be developing this more for me to save me 80, 90 quid a month, whatever it is. But yeah, let me know if you want to see more.